If you have been playing Idolmaster Shiny Colors in English, you know it is painful because there is just not enough guides out there that's in English. The only way to go is to read up the Japanese guides. If you're not good in Japanese, then you're gonna have a hard time. But there are still some guides out there that will teach you the basic of this game. This guide is to touch the area that is more complicated, and that is to make great idols for Grade Fes. This is currently the meta way to produce idol for Grade Fes, which might change in the future. I'll just be sharing some of my insight and tips I have learned and hope that will help you. Again, this guide is only aimed to make good use of grade production. If you're not up to that part of the game, or you're beyond that, then you're probably not going to be needing this. This should be mainly to help players trying to reach from grade 4 to 6 depending on where you are and what you're aiming for. The lower your grade, it is easier, which means you also can do it with wing and Kansha idols. This will be proportional to your total SSR, how many usable SSR you have. The longer you play means the more free roll you have been through, which also means you probably completed more dailies and weekly. If you have saved up a spark or 2 on your favorite idol, then you're probably gonna have some SSR from that. This is a gacha game after all, and your over strength is still based on how much investment you have put in the game, either through time or money. Maybe a year of completely free to play, you might be able to have some amount of free support that can get you there. Maybe half a year if you probably have pay some money for some pay packages. The game do give a lot of these pay packages that probably give you confirmed SSR or to Hazukis. This will have probably impact on how you progress your game. This game is also not about one-shot everything, especially it's more about prepping for Grade Fes, or rather just doing Grade Fes. If you're doing your Grade Fes, you'll be attempting a lot of time. If you're doing your production idol, you'll probably be going through a couple of times to try to get the best idol you can from stats or so. You probably want to start off with a couple of times on how much of the cap you can get yourself to and how much SP you roughly get in per run. This will be the same for doing Grade Fes battle. You probably just be doing a lot until you get there. Now we will just go through the difference of Kansha and GRAD, the type of idol you can produce on both sides, and how GRAD is different from Kansha and making it better. Kansha is actually very easy to achieve good stats and also get better substats compared to Wing. Because of using nodes, you'll be using something like Vocal plus SP, and probably later when you have enough SP, you'll probably be picking up Vocal and another stat. This means you are farming a lot of your main stats and SP at the same time. Your SP are required for extra cap up and your skill tree, so yeah, that's how you grow your idol and make it stronger. Kansha is also very easy to get max Moide. It not actually give you a Moide level when you finish it, and this make it much easier with your promises and stuff. Unlike Wing and GRAD, you have to probably hopefully get a what do some people call it, signing event, or just so a event that actually boosts your Moide straight to max, which is very RNG based. On top of that, Kansha promise actually attract all the ID idols to a single spot, so you're actually able to finish your nodes much easier. GRAD on the other hand, GRAD is actually very hard to farm SP. The base you get from each facility is actually low compared to what you get from Wing, actually very similar to Kansha. So the only way to farm farm SP is through your supports. Because of the lack of SP, it's also hard to raise your cap and getting skills. Of course, you should farm SP by trying to lock your Hiramekis and then doing PR, but that's only after you be prioritizing over your abilities and after finishing that. GRADs introduce these abilities which you can add through Hiramekis. And well, there's a lot of ability out there, but I will just only get to the specific ability that you will need for making a grad idol. I'll be splitting these ability into two groups. I'll be ignoring majority of it, which is very situational based. You'd be just looking at the one you actually use for grad. Most people will actually use for any unit. There is some that you might want to pick up depending on your unit, like say if you run Antika and Hokuro. The first one I'll be talking about is position based ability. Position based ability increase the bonus that you get from your setup. It just goes to my unit team. Unit bonus are what you get when you put them in each slot. Just say if you look at the visual slot, there's a position bonus of 140 instead of the original default of 100. Pretty much 40% was buffed from the abilities. For position ability, generally for each idol you will have 4 skills to pick up. 2 of them that actually you have to be specific at the spot. So say a visual one, you have pretty much visual to ability that will give you a bonus at the ability, and you pretty much have to finish one to get to do the next one. And then there's an all-rounder skill which just adds a flat bonus to any positions bonus. So with all that set up, there will be an extra 40%. So that means there's an extra 40% visual from just having those 4 skills. That's how position-based ability has its advantage over from sets. And your center will be different as well. It's a 30% compared to a 50%, and same goes to your leader spot, which also buff up the passive activation. The second type of abilities, these are the abilities that increase your appeal amount. They directly increase the amount of your appeal on the judges. The first two I'll be mentioning is Start Dash and Slow Start. These increase your appeal based on the number of turns passed. Just remember, this amount doesn't end on 0. It's always a plus. So it's pretty much you start off a number and then you drop, or you start off a number and that number will rise. So no matter what, you're still getting a plus. And next we'll be going to appeal up based on a model. Like the Slow Start and Start Dash, it's based on your Omoda gauge. We move on to the Kizuna and Bond abilities. These can only be collected when you collect 4 of the same idol, and these will give you a passive 5% bonus. Obviously you can only have 4 of these active at the same time because your team has a team of 5 and you can only get 4 from your other support. If we do the maths, just say we count Start Dash and Slow Start as 5 each, and each Amode appeal as 5 each. That means we get 8 of them, so we pretty much have a 40% appeal like that. These are 40% that doesn't need any activation or anything. And you have 5 idol, that means that is 200% extra appeal. That's not gated by any activation or anything, it just flat out increase. So it means stats and stuff are not that important for GRAD. You'll be prioritizing on your ability. Obviously stats is always good, and you'll also be competing against some idol that might actually take these GRAD tactics. Next, we'll be moving on to the different type of idols. Each, unfortunately, unlike Cancer Side, where your IDs are gated by different support, for GRAD, your Hirameki is actually gated by idols. Each idol is only assigned to a single type. We do have 4 types: vocal, visual, dance, and mental. Each idol is assigned to that, and if we look at the chart, some of the unit will have some trouble having some of that. If you're having a team for composition, you'll be looking into that, and then how you can make use of your Hirameki. You always want to take at least one of each 4 types in your teams, or else you're gonna have big trouble trying to finish your abilities. And because of that, you also have to plan ahead on how you're gonna build your team for your Grade Fes. That means your team, what idol you're gonna put in each slot, and then what idol will have a good support that you can take out. If you're building a 5 idol, then unfortunately that's your team. Your team is set, but you still have to think about your position. And then when you go to your support, then you might not be able to use all your support because some of the support are just not good in your production. So you probably have to use some other units support to fix that up. And because of that, you might not be able to grab all the Kizuna bonds and such. Unit like Hokura would pretty much be unable to finish for Kizuna for every single idol because of how they are spaced out. There's 2 visual and there's 2 mental idols. Something like a free idol or Noctil, you'll be able to pick up some other extra idol, and that would be depending on what you have available. Likely having some extra SSR that's limited support, and that will actually help a lot. Generally for support setup for GRAD, Mastery are very important, especially Mastery SP and Mastery Stamina, because Master Stamina help you recover stamina or even like just even it out, so you get more turns so you can produce, so you can rest less. For SP wise, it's self-explanatory because for GRAD you'll be lacking a lot of SP, and without SP you can't increase your cap or anything. If you're having trouble on getting cap, you might even put in idol that's not on the same type, as long as they're able to provide a good buff, good support ability that help with SP and such. And obviously you need the right Hirameki in your setup. Unfortunately, a lot of the good support are limited, which from the start I did say this based a lot on investment. If you have some limited idols, you might probably want to be based on them even though if they're not on the team you want to make. Of course, there is some idol that's support idol that's actually very good, that's not limited. I think there was, okay, I'll go through some of them. This event Mano is actually quite decent. Not too sure if it actually did the event, mainly because it has a mastery mastery stamina at vocal lesson. Obviously there's some other limited like the elimination one, which I will just don't bother since they're just very strong. Yaminabe Mamimi, this has SP and stamina at visual lesson, so if you're making a visual idol, this is actually very strong card. The complete opposite to Yaminabe, which goes to vocal, which was Amana, which give you the SP and stamina at vocal. If you're producing a vocal idol, there's idol like Natsuha, vocal is actually quite decent. You have SP at radio and you have the vocal for unit. I think there was a Sakuya that was for vocal that give SP as well. That was quite nice. It really just depending on what you're gonna use. I think Cherry Amana, but that doesn't give you vocal, but it does have a stamina, mastery stamina. You instead, compared to say Yaminabe Mamimi, you just get visual stats. It's okay to replace a better support if you can achieve better producing result, even though you're skipping out on the 5% Kizuna.
プロデューサーさんの現在の担当アイドルは
From experience, staying at grade 6, you probably only need 800 to 1000 on your main stats. I do stay on 6 most of the time, and if I get lucky I can go up to 7. Your center will always prioritize on Amoide 5, so your set depending on how you make it, and you probably use a bunny charm on it, so you will take up 1 item slot as well. You'll probably be less than your main stats idol. And as for your other 3 idol, you don't need to worry about your position spot at all. As for your leader spot, you probably don't need to worry about it too much as well, since if you got it, you get it. If you don't, then you just have to skip out. It's better to pick up all your position bonus. I mean, you don't need to pick up your position bonus because it's just activation and mental up. Obviously you want the activation bonus, but not to the point that you'll be risking some of your damage for it. You'll be grabbing as much as you can, and if you get up to a spot that you just can't finish any of them, you just let it go and you finish all your abilities as much as you can, and that's a leftover that can go towards either the activation, so the bonus, or you can just pump them all to the stats. And now we got to the end of the video, and I hope you learned something from this guide. There's also a new update on Cancer Side that make it much easier. We don't know how that will affect GRAD. So far, I think the abilities from GRAD will still be much stronger to the buff they make, but this might not be the case for some of your positions. Like say if you main visual, your vocal and dance, since you don't pick up any of the positional buff, with the stats and the number of skills you can push out from Cancer Side, and also because you don't have to take a specific support for that team, you might be able to make a much stronger idol. But we'll all see how the other people do it, and hopefully that might be interesting, I guess. Bit of change of meta and stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like this and you have anything you want to comment on, you can always put it in the comment. And if you got something that you want to tell me, or if I miss out on anything, you can also drop it down in the comment. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.